Who are the top targets for the San Francisco 49ers that they should go after in the third round? Maybe a trade up, all that stuff is going to be discussed. We're going to react to the first round as well and look how the San Francisco 49ers could target specific prospects and who those guys might be. We're going to talk about it all right now. You already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat and let's go. It's the draft, baby. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, gang? The first round is complete. And now it is time for the San Francisco 49ers to get after it. So I'm definitely looking forward in regards to who the San Francisco 49ers are going to pick because there's some good players still out there. And I am very much looking forward to seeing what the San Francisco 49ers do a couple hours from now. Freddie says, lightweight disappointed. You didn't go live after the draft, but I guess it doesn't matter since the 49ers were not picking. I'll tell you why I didn't go live after the draft. My son had football practice pretty much throughout the whole draft. So I was watching the draft while I was watching his football practice. And I just decided, it was time to be a fan of the draft. Nor for since 2017. I've been doing lives, doing analysis, all that type of stuff with the draft content. Of course, the San Francisco 49ers weren't picking in the first round. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to kick back. I'm going to relax. Cardi B gif where she's eating the popcorn, just vibing on the sideline. I was just like, I'm chilling. I was vibing, but we're going to react to some of the first round. We're going to react to some of the things that happened, the things that didn't happen. Will Levis just chilling there, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about the first round, but we're also going to talk about prospects that the San Francisco 49ers should trade and should go after, or not trade, but prospects they should draft and target in the third round. Shout out to all the SDS, though. What's good, everybody? I don't know about you guys, but that first round was extremely entertaining. I had a lot of fun watching that. The top 10, too, on top of that was immaculate. The trades that occurred, everything that was going on, that was a jam-packed first round. Get your popcorn ready type of day one of the NFL draft. I was pretty excited about it. I was really just sitting back, enjoying it all. No stress of who are the 49ers going to pick, which prospect are they going to take. That's not the guy that I want. I didn't have any of that yesterday. So I just vibed out. I had a great time. Shout out to D'Amico Ryans, man. Our good buddy D'Amico Ryans over there with the Texans. Texans owned the top of the draft, basically. They had the number 2, number 3 overall pick. They traded up to 3. And you get CJ Stroud, you get Will Anderson out of Alabama, best defensive player in the draft, and you get the number 2 quarterback in the draft. Good job to the Houston Texans for real life draft day. I mean, I just watched the movie the day of, a couple hours before, and I'm like, this is some real life draft day stuff going on. All the moves, all the stuff that they did went crazy. Also, I got to tip my cap to the Indianapolis Colts. Because as we know, the Arizona Cardinals traded out of 3 They dropped back to 12, and then the Colts are sitting there on the clock at 4. I had tweeted out about it, and I'm not shy either in expressing that I believe in Anthony Richardson as a prospect. I believe that he will be a good quarterback. I believe he has the potential to be an excellent quarterback. He has some of the most freaky physical tools that I have ever seen from a quarterback. And I'll be the first to tell you that physical tools doesn't determine if you're a good quarterback. What determines a good quarterback is processing, confidence, leadership, all the intangible qualities. And again, I told you guys, I spoke to his quarterback coach at the combine, and boy, did he sell me on all those aspects. I already believed on the physical traits and tools from Anthony Richardson, but he sold me on all the intangible aspects, board work, how he can understand and execute an offense, what he went through at Florida, all that type of stuff. And so I absolutely did not want Anthony Richardson to end up on Seattle. I think they're picking at right after the Colts or wherever they were picking. I did not want to see AR 15 on the Seattle Seahawks. So thankfully, shout out to Colts. They got a good quarterback, and it's not going to be it's not going to be in division. So I'm most that was the first like, whew, thank goodness. Thank goodness that didn't happen, because you would have given AR the opportunity to go sit for a while behind Geno Smith, and then when it was time to take over, oh my goodness, that would have been a tough stop for the San Francisco 49ers. But let's recap the first round. Then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the prospects that the San Francisco 49ers need to go after and start to target with that third pick in the draft. But again, let's since I didn't do a live reaction yesterday, let's react now, because we'll relive it a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. So Bryce Young goes number 1 overall. I think that was the correct pick. CJ Stroud at 2. Again, I thought Anthony Richardson could have gone 2. That's how much I believe in Anthony Richardson. But I think CJ Stroud has proven and done more in college. So I understand that pick. I don't think it's a bad pick at all. So the Texans, we talked about the Texans getting CJ Stroud, trading up, going and get Will Anderson, and then Anthony Richardson at 4. I loved how the top 4 played out. Now the Seattle Seahawks go and get Devin Witherspoon. And what's the impact to the San Francisco 49ers? Well, the impact is they go out and they get the best cornerback in this draft, and they pair him with Tariq Woolen, who was one of the best rookies from last year's class. So, yeah, they go out and get another really good cornerback to add to that defense. I'll be honest, I was very happy that they didn't get Jalen Carter, because as we know, the San Francisco 49ers play Seattle Seahawks 2 times a year. I'm much more worried about the trench play in that division battle opposed to the cornerbacks, because let's face it, Kyle Shanahan knows how to scheme these guys open. They play a lot of cover 3, cover 2. So they're playing soft coverage, they're playing off, they're playing zones. So yes, he's a good player, but I'm way less concerned about Devin Witherspoon opposed to them getting immensely better in the trenches. Like if they were to get a Tyree Wilson, I would have been much more concerned. If they were to get Jalen Carter, would have been much more concerned. Now Devin Witherspoon, and that's no disrespect to Witherspoon either, but again, I personally, for the 49ers and the way they match up and the way Kyle goes about scheming things open, I feel much better about it. Arizona Cardinals, another divisional opponent. They go from 3-12 back up to 6. I don't mind those. I don't mind that move for the Cardinals. They go out and get Paris Johnson Jr., great tackle. So good for them. They get a left tackle of the future. I'm about it. Bosa's still going to feast though, so not really concerned or anything like that. Raiders get Tyree Wilson. I think that's a good pick for the Raiders, making up for the blunder they had in 2019. Bijan Robinson goes in the top 10. That was pretty crazy. The Philadelphia Eagles get Jalen Carter. The Philadelphia Eagles, man, I don't know what these guys are up to, but they are doing a phenomenal job. Their front office, I know at this point, Howie Roseman masterclass. Yeah, getting Jalen, arguably one of the best players, if not the best player in the draft, who had some character issues at pick 9. And to replace Javon Hargrave, like, come on, man. Like, and also the Bears get Darnell Wright, Justin Fields, year 3 jump coming, Peter Skoronski to the Titans. I think that's a great pick, especially with them out with Taylor Lewan. Luke Van Ness, it's hilarious to see the Green Bay Packers not go wide receiver again. Broderick Jones, great trade by Pittsburgh. Only took a fourth round pick to ensure that they got Broderick. So that was a good trade, in my opinion. Will McDonald, a guy that I had once dreamed upon a star that could potentially be a San Francisco 49er. Again, never thought it was going to happen, but it was something that was just, would have loved to see a guy like Will McDonald play on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. Goes a lot higher than people anticipated to the Jets. I don't mind the pick at all. 16, Emmanuel Forbes, Commanders. Patriots go Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez was talked about as a top 10 pick. He goes to 17 to the Patriots. Jack Campbell to the Lions. A lot of people not loving the Lions picks because they went, I think I skipped over Jamar or whatever, however you say his first name. Gibbs to the Lions, and they go Jack Campbell, linebacker, to the Lions. We'll see. We'll see what those picks ultimately look like in the end. A lot of people didn't like those picks. We'll see. Kalijah Cansey, Justin's boy, Aaron Donald Light. I mean, what a great landing spot for him. Being able to play next to Vita Vaya and all that stuff. He's going to be a good player. This one, though, the Seahawks get Jackson Smith and Jigba, the basically number 1 rated wide receiver in this class. It's time for the 49ers to invest in some more secondary because you got DK Metcalf, you got JSN, and Tyler Lockett. That's pretty formidable. Quentin Johnston goes to the Chargers. Great pick by the Chargers there. Then you get this run on wide receivers. Zay Flowers to the Ravens. I mean, talk about a perfect addition for the Ravens to go with OBJ and Rashad Bateman. Jordan Addison to the Vikings. I mean, these are honestly great landing spots for these wide receivers, especially if you're into fantasy. Great spots. Giants go cornerback. Buffalo gets the first tight end off the board. So one of the things that the 49ers are going to be looking for are tight ends, right? And so the tight ends kind of slipped. Dalton was kind of presumed to go earlier. So the tight ends kind of slipped a little bit. I believe he was the only tight end drafted in the first round. So that means there are some high-end tight ends still available, which is good news for the 49ers because that just means the tight end can is getting kicked down the curb a little bit more, and we'll see who falls in their lap. Mozzie Smith to the Cowboys. Anton Harrison to the Jaguars. Good pick by the Jaguars at 17. Miles Murphy to the Bengals. I think that's a quality pick. I mean, these are good values right here. Brian Breesy to the Saints. And then, of course, the Eagles get a projected top 10 pick, Nolan Smith at 30. So just falling in the lap. Just falling in the lap of Howie Roseman. But the fact that he came away with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith is just wild. And then 49er or not the 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs stay inbound and they go or in the area and grab Kansas City edge. I'm not even going to pretend to try to pronounce his name. So overall, very, very entertaining first round draft pick or first round. Very entertaining. I loved it. And it was nice not working. I'm going to be honest with you. Like normally, like if my son didn't have football practice and I wasn't at football practice for the majority of the draft, I probably would have been going live. I probably would have been doing reaction stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to force it. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't aligned in the stars for me to do a ton of draft content on day one. But today is a different story because now the San Francisco 49ers have three at that so far right now. They have three selections: 99, 101, and 102. Are they going to trade up? Maybe. Maybe they will. Maybe one of these tight ends slides out, they hop up. Maybe safety slides out, they hop up. So, today we are going to be active on draft coverage. So make sure you stay tuned. You got post noties on all of it because we're covering the draft today. SF40 says Seattle is gonna add D line round 2, probably. Hey, one thing that you can't, I mean, especially after last year, Seattle's a pretty good drafting team, so they do a pretty good job. Can't knock them there. So Seattle's gonna get after it, that's for sure. Gammon, appreciate the super chat, says it's no secret that the 49ers need O-line. John Lynch, click on the StreamYard link and select Brad at 99 overall. If John Lynch were to select me to come play O-line, I fear they would be selecting a big time draft bust because unfortunately my back does not work. So they would miss on the medical and they would realize like, oh, this guy has the back of an 80-year-old. So although I appreciate the thought, I'm going to just tell John when they call me, they're like, listen, we're gonna take you with the next pick. I'm gonna be like, hold on. I appreciate that you guys are thinking of me. But at the end of the day, my number one priority is that the 49ers get better. And for the 49ers to get better, that means you cannot draft me. But I will talk about who the San Francisco 49ers should draft. And we'll go down that list of players and all that type of stuff. But I appreciate the thought, Cameron. Yeah, I'll just be the boombox guy. That's it. Just put the big ginger with the boombox. Just have me come running down the tunnel. That's it. That's fine. That works. Let's see though. Before we get into that, let's talk about the draft day trade scare from Brandon Ayuk, shall we? I'm sure you've heard about it by now. But Brandon Ayuk was apparently caught off guard a little bit by A call that he received from his agent. Apparently, first thing this morning, Brandon Ayuk got a call and saw that his agent was calling him. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious that one, this was his thought process, and two, he tweeted it out. That's fantastic. He says, "Why my agent called me first thing this morning, just chatting. I thought I was up out of there and I was going to head to the facility and start kicking doors down." Meaning, Brandon Ayuk saw his agent call, and the first thing that triggered in his brain was that I got traded. So again, multiple layers here. Hilarious that he tweeted this. Uh, Interesting that his first thought was that his agent is calling him, "Oh, he's traded." Again, so I think again we connect the dots. We always keep the tinfoil hat on. The tinfoil hat always keeps us safe and make sure that we're processing things as clearly as we hope that it can be processed. My first thought was, well, if Brandon Ayuk's on high alert that he's going to be traded, uh, how should fans feel about that? If his first thought is his agent calling him and he's like, "I'm traded." That's like a real thought process. What should our thought process be? How should we interpret this? Because as we know, it's been kind of assumed that teams have been calling on Brandon Ayuk, and the 49ers have alluded to John Lynch specifically, also specifically citing that they shopped Mike McGlinchey, who was in the same scenario as Brandon Ayuk. So we've already been kind of conditioned to believe that Brandon Ayuk could be traded. Now, I could probably poll the chat right now, and I would guarantee that no one here believes or thinks Brandon Ayuk should be traded. No, that's not what we're talking about. Should Brandon Ayuk be traded? No, he should not be traded. Brandon Ayuk should be a San Francisco 49er in 2023 and help the San Francisco 49ers win a championship. He should not be traded. But we also understand beyond 2023, there are questions about his contract, and that brings up some scenarios. And we do know his fifth-year option has not been picked up. Does that mean his fifth-year option still hasn't been picked up? Now, I know John Lynch said that he would communicate this by Monday after the draft. So, in my mind, again, not knowing how these internal conversations work or how the order of operations work and all those types of things, I would assume if Brandon Ayuk knew that he had his fifth-year option already picked up, he wouldn't be thinking he's getting traded. Now, maybe his agent was calling him to be like, "Hey, we did pick up your fifth-year option." Maybe that was the call in of itself. I don't know. But based on this current state and time as of today, this morning, that tells me that Brandon Ayuk's fifth-year option wasn't picked up. Now, we could be talking about it right now, and that call could have resulted in his agent telling him that his fifth-year option was picked up. But as of this morning, I believe that it wasn't. So there's multiple ranges of outcomes here. But what BA is seemingly telling me is that as of this morning, his fifth-year option wasn't been picked up. And again, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's the behind the scenes things that are going on, and you know, it's just we got to process it. So part of the process is, well, if his fifth-year option were to be picked up, that would make me believe he is for sure locked in for next year. If it's not picked up, then there are other possibilities that could happen with the draft coming up. Now, would you trade Brandon Ayuk for anything less than the first round? Absolutely not. Brandon Ayuk should require a king's ransom. First round picks, second round picks, uh, something. Brian Burns caliber type players. You don't trade Brandon Ayuk for peanuts. So Not saying Brandon Ayuk is going to get traded. I don't think Brandon Ayuk should get traded. I think it would be a mistake to trade Brandon Ayuk for this next coming season because we're going to need BA, and BA playing on a $14 million contract next year seems like a pretty good deal to me. So I just thought the whole scenario was funny. I thought it was funny that Brandon Ayuk tweeted that out. I do think it indicates that as of this morning, BA doesn't have his fifth year option picked up. That could have changed after that call, but it is just something to be on alert of, because if he's on edge, like the player himself is on edge, hey, I'm going to be on edge a little bit too until we have clarity. And that's the way it is right now at the San Francisco 49ers, is we're just waiting for clarity. We don't have clarity on a lot of things. So because of lack of clarity, that causes the mind to spin. And when you deal with someone like me who has ADHD and is a range of outcomes person, that's what I do. I spin. I spin through the ranges of outcomes. So that's how the brain operates. But we'll see. I don't I don't think Brandon Ayuk will be traded. I really don't. I just think, it would, after what Debo Samuel did in 2021, and clearly the San Francisco 49ers didn't get anything close that would have made them trade Debo, even in a scenario where he was requesting a trade. They clearly didn't get that for Brandon. So Brandon better be sticking around, man. Brandon better not be going anywhere. So I don't anticipate he's going anywhere. I don't anticipate he's going to be traded, but I'm also not closing the door on anything until Monday. Monday, I'll feel much better. Monday, I will feel more confident. I'm still confident, but I also understand of outcomes, and it does feel like there is still one open, even if it is slight, still feels like it's there. So until that door is officially closed, we're prepared for anything, because it's the NFL draft. Anything can happen, baby. Anything can happen. So transition. Let's transition to players that the San Francisco 49ers should target in the third round. Before we do that, smash that like button, because you are just as excited as I am that the San Francisco 49ers are finally drafting today. And I've heard a lot of, you know, I've heard some complaining from 49ers fans, especially yesterday, talking about how, uh, oh, we don't pick for forever. The draft's not even fun. Like, there's nothing even to be excited about. It's like, come on, man. There's tons to be excited about right now. The San Francisco 49ers uh, have a lot of ammo right now. And within that ammo, there's a ton of depth in this class. So, with the ammo combined with the depth, and really, when you look at the San Francisco 49ers positional needs, like in its totality, there aren't a bunch of holes. Like, primarily the guys that the 49ers are going to be drafting anyways are going to be depth pieces or red shirt guys or rotational guys. There are very limited starting spots available. So, the San Francisco 49ers, they have the flexibility. They don't have to overextend themselves in any scenario. They get to sit back, relax, let the board fall to them. And if they feel the need to jump up and snag someone, they have that ability. So, but that doesn't mean they still don't have some positional needs available. And let's take a look at some prospects that are going to be available that the 49ers could definitely target in this draft. I would say before we look at this, what is the number one? I'm polling the chat, so get your Twitter fingers ready, get your poll fingers ready. What is the number one positional need for the San Francisco 49ers? I want you to drop it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Let me know what the number one positional need for the San Francisco 49ers is. Let's poll the fan base to see what we're talking about. So again, just to reiterate, the numero uno positional need for the San Francisco 49ers in this draft. Right at the top, tackle. Edge tackle. I mean, every year's got to be about the trenches. Every year, the trenches should not be uh, dismissed. O-line, right tackle, O-line, safety, cornerback, O-line, edge, offensive tackle, right tackle, OT, tackle, OT. I would like to see 2 right tackles and 2 fast cornerbacks get drafted. Ooh. O-line, right tackle, quarterback and O-line, edge OT, right tackle, running back. Is that right? That might be the first. Offensive tackle or edge, O-line, cornerback, and you're leaving us guessing out here, Matthias. Offensive right tackle, OT, RT, tackle, safety, tight end, edge in that order. Offensive tackle, O-line. Okay, so I see a lot of O-line. And I don't disagree. JC saying left tackle Trent's about to leave. I don't think he's about to leave. I don't. He's got a couple years left on his contract. Kicker. Yes, we need kicker. Kicker. What do I think about DeJuan Jones? I think he's an interesting prospect. He's massive, right? But I haven't done an extensive study on him just because I didn't feel like the 49ers were going to be in range, but I do know that he is huge, and obviously you have other large prospects from a measurable standpoint. Like I like Freeland, who's 6'8", massive, but to me he's quicker. Like that's why I like Freeland. I like Freeland because he can move for his size. DeJuan Jones can move as well, but I don't think he can move as good. And I don't know. I don't dislike him. I don't know if I love him for the 49ers. And especially if you had to trade up to get him. I know he's like he gets his hands on you, you're cooked. I saw what he did at the Senior Bowl. He was going crazy at the Senior Bowl. I don't know. I didn't watch enough to fall in love with them. I'll be honest. I didn't watch enough to fall in love with them. He's a big guy, and that's intriguing. You can't teach size, but he does look a little lumbering, and I'm not a huge fan of lumberers. I want quick feet. Quick feet don't eat. Or quick feet or don't eat, I should say. I but again, I haven't watched enough. Kicker underrated, huge need. Jair Brown, safety. Tyler Steen, offensive tackle. Corey Trice, cornerback. Will Levis, nope, not going to happen. Quarterback, if Trey were to be traded, then tight end. Well, I don't think Trey's going to be traded. Like, all the quarterback needy teams have been filled. What other teams need a quarterback right now? I don't think Trey's going anywhere. I think Trey's staying put. I don't think there's a market for Trey. Even if the 49ers wanted to trade him, I don't think there's a market. Who would come get Trey? I don't think anyone's out there. You were thinking Texans. I mean, Titans might be the only available option left. And the from all we've heard from the Titans is the Titans aren't sold on Malik Willis. So, and they're, seemingly done, like they're rebuilding. So, uh, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It will really, really be interesting. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the Raiders trade for Trey Lance? They signed Jimmy Garoppolo, trade for Trey Lance. The Raiders quarterback room in 2023 is starting Jimmy Garoppolo and backup Trey Lance. Could you imagine? That would be the most, like, if you told me, like, if you were a time traveler and you showed up to training camp in 2021 where Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo are going back and forth, and you told me in 2023 Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo are going to be Raiders. I would be like, you're high as a freaking kite. Like, there's like, what are we talking about? Like, I was like, let me slap you up real quick. But I mean, could it? Could it happen? Could it? I don't know, man. That would be crazy. Tennessee needs a quarterback, though. Uh, Vikings could be an option. I would say the Vikings still feel like a good option. I know the Vikings fan base likes Trey quite a bit, but it'll be very interesting. But let's take a look at some of the prospects that I've put together that I think the 49ers could definitely target. So obviously I asked and you guys delivered a lot of the positional needs that most of you said it was either O-line or offensive tackle. And I'm assuming if you said O-line, you probably meant offensive tackle. So these are the top targets that I see for the San Francisco 49ers. These guys right here. I think that they're going to be available, and maybe not all of them, but I think at minimum you're going to have 3 of these guys available at pick 99. What's going to be interesting is if a tackle run starts. That's what the 49ers have to be concerned about. So just like Pittsburgh went from 17 to 14 to make sure they got Broderick Jones, if the San Francisco 49ers want one of these guys at tackle and you start to get a tackle run starting in the 80s, then that's where, as an organization, you go, all right, do we want one of these guys? Because if we do, this might be the time. This might be the time that we package something up and we jump. Because if we wait and stand pat at 99 and we're sitting on our hands and every one of these guys goes before 99, that would suck. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it would not be fun to see. So I definitely could see that's what I'm looking for. So that's where I'm on high alert. Now, will the 49, so this is also the other thing that I think we need to also rationalize is that I do believe that the San Francisco 49ers have confidence in Colton McKivitz to be the starter next year. So I don't think they're in desperation mode to get a tackle. So that makes me believe that maybe they don't trade up for a tackle and they do stand pat. Maybe they jump up for a different position. Maybe they jump up for a different player, maybe an edge, maybe a safety, maybe a cornerback that they really like. Maybe that's what they do. And they just allow the tackle board to fall to them. So that's what's going to be the most fascinating thing is I don't think there's a direct need in regards to 2023 because I still believe that any one of these guys that you draft might not beat out Colton McKivitz in year one. Because let's face it, Colton has proven himself. He's got a lot of experience and they trust him. And we'll see if one of these guys can really challenge Colton McKivitz. But at minimum, what you're doing is you're getting a redshirt guy, a guy that can learn. And we've seen the Aaron Banks role where you sit for a year, you're potentially the swing tackle, and you have good depth, and the future of your tackle spot is on the roster, and then you proceed that way. So that'll be interesting. But Nick Saldivari is my number one draft crush in this class. It's official. He's the guy he's my first draft crush of this class, and it's only right that he's my number one guy. So Nick Saldivari is my guy. The reason I like Nick Saldivari too is he can play, of course, right tackle, but he can also play guard and center at a very, very high level. So he can be the Brunskill of the offensive line. Now you got Feliciano, they go out and get Pryor as well, and you got Jalen Moore. But you get a Nick Saldivari, you get a guy who can play center, guard, and tackle. And he can do all three at a high level. So I like Nick Saldivari, but I also like Blake Freeland as your prototypical right tackle. He, to me, feels like a prototypical Kyle Shanahan right tackle. We know that Joe Staley has been training with him, and Joe Staley is actually going to be announcing the pick tonight. So we know Blake Freeland and the 49ers, they're going to have a lot of insight there. We know that we know Freeland met we know that they had a formal meeting at the combine. We know there's interest there, and again, Joe Staley's in Freeland's corner. So there is a possibility the 49ers could target Freeland. We'll see. Jalen Duncan, you're talking about prototypical measurables. You're talking about prototypical base, feet, all that type of stuff. That's where you go get him, but he needs refinement. His contact balance is questionable, but he does have high upside as a pass blocker. Just as we were talking about quarterback, we're starting to get some rumors from the draft. Just as we were talking about the Raiders being a potential suitor for Trey Lance, the Raiders are, quote, really high on quarterback Herndon Hooker. Also, the belief is the Titans are going to move up in the draft for Will Levis. So again, Trey Lance is out there, but the potential teams that are left are being rumored to be tied to the quarterbacks that are still out there. Herndon Hooker and Will Levis. So, and don't forget, you got your Jake Hainers out there too. So that's going to be really interesting to see. But if I had to go on my gut, I don't think Trey's going to get traded. I don't think he's going to get traded. I think Trey will be a member of the San Francisco 49ers this season. But anyways, these are the available tackles that I think will be there in that range, and they could all definitely take a look at. Wanya Morris, right tackle at Oklahoma. A lot of people like Wanya. He's really good movement ability. Tyler Steen as well, good movement ability, and those things. If the 49ers opt to go safety, I think these are the top three safeties that they should target. Oh, appreciate the super sticker, Susie Cusey. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Super sticker time. So in regards to safety, you got Quan Martin out of Illinois, Jamie Robinson out of FSU, and Jair Brown out of Penn State. I like all these guys. Like, these are all my guys right here. Quan Martin, I think, is probably one of the best combo hybrid nickel deep middle safeties, which is exactly what I think the 49ers need, in my opinion. Especially when you see like how much success they had with Jimmy Ward. He's like a Jimmy Ward to me. I see a lot of Jimmy Ward ability, kind of smaller, but very fast, very good. I think he's better in coverage than Jimmy Ward. I feel confident in saying that. Quan Martin is a guy who can come down and play nickel, and he can also play deep middle safety. And he can play around the line of scrimmage. So I feel like Quan Martin would be a phenomenal target. But the other two guys are, I would say, more complete traditional safeties in the sense of they can cover, they can play downhill, they can play in the box, they can play in the middle of the field. Uh, they can play two. They can do everything that you would expect from a safety. I think Quan brings a little hybrid ability to him, but Jamie Robinson and Jair Brown are more complete, in my opinion. They can do everything. Jamie Robinson, Jair Brown is a guy that I really like. So I like those two guys a lot at safety. So it'll be interesting to see if those guys are available as well. It'll also be interesting if the San Francisco 49ers do show any interest in linebacker because Sac State linebacker Marte Mapu to me feels like a Fred Warner clone. Um, if you can get this guy, he is a nasty football player. I don't think he's a safety. I think he played safety at Sac State. I think he's a linebacker. I think he's a guy you instantly take those traits and you develop him as a linebacker. I mean, you talk about physicality, you see his ability to shoot gaps, disrupt offensive linemen, disrupt fullbacks in the run game, and he has ability to cover. Yeah, linebacker. And if the 49ers find that value there, that will be a good pick. If they got Marte in this building, and they put him in the same room with Fred Warner, that's a big get. Ivan Pace Jr. too out of Cincinnati. I love that guy. You talk about a very fast physical linebacker. Um, Seeing him at the Senior Bowl, if the 49ers got their hands on either one of these guys, they would I think they would jump up into that starting whether it's weak side or strong side starting linebacker. They would already kind of jump up into that role. There are some cornerbacks. I don't think there are a ton based on the way I've seen rankings. I feel like the 49ers will have an opportunity to go for a different tier of cornerback in around pick 155. But I think Corey Trice is a guy that the 49ers could target, as well as Riley Moss. Both move exceptionally well. And if that's where the 49ers want to go, it could absolutely be an option at cornerback, but I don't know. I don't know if they value cornerback in the third round. Maybe fifth round feels again. They've hit on guys like Diamador Lenore, Samuel Womack seems promising. I would say go after a cornerback in the fifth round again. Uh, I've seen Darius Rush kind of ranked around the 70s. I like Darius Rush. He's about 6'2", 200 pounds. He's a bigger bodied corner. He's very physical, good in coverage out of South Carolina. Yeah, I think he could be an option if he slides. I just don't know if he'll be there at pick 99, 101, or 102. I've taken him in a mock before. But again, I see him more kind of in the 70, 80s range, maybe even 90s. But he could definitely be around there. And if he is around there, then yeah, he should be considered. I guess I don't have him here because I have him kind of slotted a little bit ahead of these guys. But yeah, if he's there, he would be a good option. And then we get to the edge. If the 49ers get their hands on one of these edge guys, I would be very happy about it. For me, I'd want Isaiah McGuire first, 21 years old, ton of upside. He's only going to improve. He's only going to get better. He's played under Steve Wilkes before in 2021, I believe it was. He shows ability in the run game, in the pass game. Uh, Great size, about 6'4", about 268, kind of around that range. You go get Isaiah McGuire at 21 years old. I like that. I like that a lot. Because I think he's only going to improve. And then you got two young bucks with Drake Jackson, Isaiah McGuire, who are only going to continue to grow and improve together. You're looking down the road in about 2 or 3 years when these guys are about 24 and they're hitting their stride. That would be a good thing for the San Francisco 49ers. But you also got Byron Young. He's a little bit older. I think he's about 24. But he's more plug and play, I guess. He is nasty. I would say when I think of Byron Young, I think of physical. He has speed and he can convert speed to power, and he's got moves. He can beat you around the edge. He can beat you with speed to power and bull rushes, and he can beat you with inside moves. But he's physical. Like he's got a little bit of that relentless motor to him. Where Byron, but he's just a little older. Um, KJ Henry, I think, is kind of a complete defensive end. He can be a base down end. He can get after the passer. Um, he wouldn't be my top selection here, but if they were to take KJ Henry out of Clemson, I wouldn't be upset at it. I would be okay. I'd be okay with that. And Yaya Diaby, same thing. Yaya was one of my favorite combine interviews. I think he would fit the locker room culture. Great mindset, great mentality. He feels a little raw, but he has the measurables. And I think he's a guy you could also refine. He has also inside out versatility. He also seems like a guy you could kick over the guard as well and have some success. So but I don't see a lot of other guys like again in the third round range. There's going to be other guys like uh, Junior Fehoko, who is a production freak. He has inside out versatility coming out of San Jose State. I like him as well. It feels like he has kind of more fourth, fifth round range. Again, you never know. I don't know. I don't know how these teams stack up their board, but he feels like fourth, fifth round kind of a guy. I don't know if they would take him in the third. Maybe he might be higher on other teams' boards than of the perception of him. But he's put up a ton of production. He's from an NFL bloodline. I mean, his brother, he has like, it feels like he has like four brothers playing in the NFL right now. And all that stuff. Oh, Justin's feeling Herbig out of Wisconsin, which I wouldn't. It's not a bad call because that dude has got some twitch. If they're looking for that twitch, that speed, Herbig is that guy. I mean, that dude is fast off the edge, so that is another option for sure as well. But I like all these guys. But you're starting to see like it feels like there are going to be some options for the 49ers to pick tonight at 99 if they stay pat. Like, and then look at the tight end list. I think the 49ers would absolutely draft a tight end in the third. I think the 49ers have made it crystal clear that they have been looking and doing all the research on these tight ends and trying to uncover gems, looking into all these guys. The 49ers could absolutely take a tight end in the third round. The guy that I like the most is Davis Allen. Um, I would say Davis Allen and Tucker Kraft are kind of in the same tier for me. It's going to be interesting to see where Josh Wiley is valued amongst the NFL because when I watch him on tape, you see the athleticism. Like the athleticism is there. You see the willingness to block, and he is effective as a blocker. The question is he needs to add probably a little bit more weight to his frame, just like Davis Allen does. I think both those guys need to get bigger and stronger, but they have the base, they have the frame to do so. And they both move pretty well. And all that type of stuff. Tucker Craft, again, same build. He's going to be able to be fast, strong, and good receiver. Brenton Strange as well. And Payne Durham doesn't have elite like quickness or speed or anything like that, but he's just a good tight end. He's just good. He's just solid. Uh, I don't know if Payne might be a third round prospect. He might be more fourth or fifth, but could could be interesting to see how the 49ers attack tight end. It'll be interesting too to see if they do go interior defensive linemen, because I do like these guys at interior defensive linemen. Zach Pickens, I like a whole lot out of South Carolina. I really like Gervon Dexter. I mean, Gervon Dexter is a solid 6'6", 310, 315 pounds, and he moves really well. I got a lot of it's not a apples to apples, but I got some, like, you look at DeForest and his size and how he moves at his size. I got some DeForest vibes, not comping the two, but I got some DeForest vibes from Gervon. I also appreciated Gervon's interview at the combine. Um, I like him. I like his, again, you can't teach his size. He moves pretty darn well. He's got pretty good first step quickness, long arms. He can bench press offensive linemen off of him. He's going to be more of like a run, base down run defender, and probably have to develop a little bit more as a pass rusher. But again, if 49ers find him in the third, fourth, fifth, could be an option as well. Uh, Kobe Turner, Coburn also could be options. The dreaded third round running back. So let me ask you guys this question. If the San Francisco 49ers were to go running back in the third round, how would you feel? What would you do? Would you break everything that you own? Would you celebrate? What would you do if the 49ers went running back in the third round? Would you say that's a waste of a pick, because that would be third round running back 3 years in a row? Like I says, I would drink bleach. So just be prepared. I think it could be a possibility. It'll be interesting to see. Again, I feel like this is the strongest the 49ers running back room has been in quite some time. So I definitely don't see it as a need, but it could happen. And the guy that I really like here, or I like two guys here the most, and Roshan Johnson out of the Texans is definitely gotten. You probably have heard about him. Obviously playing behind Bijan Robinson. A lot of what you hear about him is he would be a starter on pretty much any other team if he didn't play behind the best running back in college football. He's definitely a bigger styled back, more of kind of like I don't know if I wouldn't say Jordan Mason, but more of a one cut downhill runner. Um, and is very talented as well. He just happened to play behind the best running back in college football. So he's been talked about a lot. San Francisco 49ers have shown interest in him, so that is something to keep in mind. Sean Tucker as well. 49ers have shown interest in Sean Tucker, Syracuse running back. I like Sean Tucker too. I think he could be a good player in the NFL. But another player that I like is Israel Abinaconda, aka the Anaconda. I posted that someone said if we get Israel, I'm gonna call him the Anaconda, and I was like, man, that makes me want him more, just so I can call him the Anaconda. But he feels like a perfect 49ers running back in regards to vision, cutting ability, speed. You start to think about going back to outside zone running. Uh, he would be perfect. He would be the perfect complement as an outside zone runner. He can run inside zone, outside zone. He feels like that perfect complement that the 49ers have really missed since Raheem Mostert. Like, I think when you look at TDP, when you look at Mason, even Mitchell, they're not natural zone runners. They feel like in between the tackle gap scheme runners. And I feel like with CMC, he kind of brings back the zone, the prevalence of outside zone. If you get the Anaconda, the outside you could be I think you could be a little bit more scheme diverse. You can go back to because they really have been transitioning to more gap scheme up front, which means more power style running, more traps, counters, those types of things, where you're running to a hole, not necessarily flowing to a direction and cutting off or finding holes as they open. So Israel has great vision, great ability to cut and burst. He's a guy that I like. If they took him, I'd be all right with it. I'll if they passed on a guy that I really like, then I'd maybe not be in love with it. But I like it for the most part. I'm not sure they go interior offensive line, but if they do, I like City Sal. Eastern Michigan guy popped up at the combine for me. He really stood out with his movement ability. And you start to look at the tape and you see the physicality that he brings. City Sal feels like, and he's the name value alone. He's going to be good. Another name that I going to destroy Olusegun Oluwatimi, Michigan center. I think he has starting upside in the NFL as a starting center. So that's something to keep in mind. Um, he's very consistent and pretty solid. Juice Scruggs as well, Penn State center. He's another guy that has starting upside at center. So I don't know if the 49ers opt to go interior offensive line, but there are some options. And then wide receiver, Jonathan Mingo, Jaden Reed, Michael Wilson. A lot of people said Mingo's not going to be there. Maybe. I would have put Dontavian Wicks if I had more characters, but I ran out of characters. So Dontavian Wicks' names would be there. I don't know if they value Dontavian as a third, maybe a fourth kind of a guy. It'll be interesting to see how the league values Dontavian. But Michael Wilson, I like him, but it'll be interesting to see where he goes. He's been projected to go kind of in the 80s, but he's a big bodied guy who can run routes, get open, high point. Uh, he's pretty good, pretty good. So there are some options at wide receivers for the 49ers. So there's the whole point again. If you see what we're doing here, let's count how many players this are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Those are 34 players that I would be relatively happy with if the San Francisco 49ers got 3 of them. And starting on the clock, we have pick 32. And A lot of guys that aren't included are because I expect that they're going to go higher. So the point being is I think the San Francisco 49ers, regardless of what they do or who they target, they should come away with a good player. 3 good players if they stay put, and especially if they trade up, they're gonna be able to get an even better player. So, the 49ers, again, the whole exercise is they're in a good spot, right now with where they're at. And tight ends could be pushed back even further, which is going to be good for the 49ers. The options right now are feeling pretty endless. It feels like they could go in a bunch of different areas and just basically left just let the draft fall to them. So I feel pretty good. Pretty good about what the options are. But now let's pull the chat. Shall we as my allergies start to kick in? Let's pull the chat. We went through a bunch of players. I'm sure a lot of you guys already have an idea of what player you would like. Name one player that you would like to see the San Francisco 49ers draft today. Just one. Obviously, they're going to have at there barring any trade ups or packaging of picks and all that. We know they're going to pick 3 times, but again, that will change if they trade up. Um so I'm going to do a trade up question after this, but for right now, what is one player that you would want to see the San Francisco 49ers draft today, assuming they stay put at 99, 101, and 102? Drop it in the chat. Give me one player. I want to see what the fans are vibing like. What player or players they like the most for the 49ers. Off the bat, we've got Yaya Diaby, Julius Brents, cornerback out of Kansas State, I believe. Um, Quan Martin. Uh, Welcome, Adam. My name is Brad. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Sourdough Squad. If you like the vibe, smash that sub button and join the Sourdough Squad. Jonathan Mingo for one we trade Tebow in 2 years. Byron Young, Pace, another Byron Young, Cody Mock, Diaby, or Byron Young. Tuli Tui Puloto. Tui Puloto. Tui Puloto. I'm so terrible with names. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Brown from Penn State, Isaiah McGuire or Byron Young, Zach Harrison. Dude is an Alden Smith clone. I mean, he's got really good length. He's like 6'6". He's got really good length. He really does. A little bit bigger, faster with long arms. Just needs help with technique and timing. Enter Jedi Master Kosarak. Hey, he might be available. I think he'll be available too. So, hey, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Latu, Saldivari live. Appreciate that. Thank you, Adam. Jair Brown. Pool low 2. Thank you. I need someone like you in my life. Especially today. Oh, I need someone like you in my life with all these names. Pulotu, thank you very much. Jalen Duncan, Pace, Keely Ringo. I'm excited. Again, I think the 49ers could absolutely wheel and deal. I think they could. I think they could jump up. I think they could make this a little bit more interesting for us. Uh Devin, if you see me struggling with a name, just do that. Just do that for me if you could. Cuz that would be so helpful for me. Anytime I just destroy a name, just write it like a 4-year-old would read it, and that would help me out very much so. Jordan Battle. Still curious. Oop, not that one. I'm still curious where Deshaun Johnson goes. Uh he feels like a guy that the NFL is going to be way higher on than the media. Uh he just feels like one of those guys, like fourth, fifth round, but could be a sneaky guy that finds his way all the way up into the third. Like he feels like one of those guys that's just gonna sneak his way up. He's gonna be way higher on NFL boards than any type of media board. Um, Devin says, "I got you with the Polynesian names. Thank you, brother. Thank you. No disrespect to all my Usos and Tokos out there. I just I just suck with names. That's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. Uh Ringo will be gone in the second, potentially. Um Definitely could see us moving into the second for a guy. Okay, this is a good transition right here. Okay. So now, because we do think it is a range of outcome, and the San Francisco 49ers, oh, I don't want that. The San Francisco 49ers could trade up into the second. Who would you want the San Francisco 49ers to take trading up into the second? Who's that, like, again, we just went through realistic options. Now is your time to be like, all right, these are guys, like, if I could wish upon a star, this is kind of where I'm at, right? Uh so let me know in the comments below, and I'll even pull up the best available board so we can look at who we could potentially get in a trade up, because you still, obviously, we're still way high up, but this is the highest graded player according to the NFL's website is Jalen Carter, and you can see down the list. And then the next highest available, they got Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee, Drew Sanders, Arkansas linebacker, Brian Branch, cornerback, Luke Musgrave, tight end, Josh Downs, wide receiver, Michael Meyer, tight end, Keon White, converted tight end to edge. You've got guys like Joey Porter, who was thought and believed to be like a top 15 pick, still available. Justin says, I feel like Meyer would be lethal with Kittle and Brock. I mean, if you could get a top tier tight end, like, yeah, let's run two tights all day, every day. Please. Let's do it. I'm down. Or Laporta. I'll take a Laporta. John Michael Schmitz, great center. DJ Turner, cornerback. Matthew Bergeron. I'm not gonna lie, I know he's a tackle, but I also kind of see him profile as a guard. He'll have success at tackle, but I do see a little guard in Bergeron. Keely Ringo, Georgia, cornerback. Cedric Tillman, Osiris Torrance. Uh, I don't. I'm not as big on Osiris as everyone else is. I know Osiris gets a lot of love. I'm not super big on him. There he is. Tulia, Tuli, Tu. Oh, I've already forgot it. Uh, I already forgot it. I don't even want to try and embarrass myself. Darnell Washington, Derek Hall, Edge, Cody Mock, Luke Schoonmaker, Isaiah Foskey, BJ Ojulari, which is an interesting one. Interesting because he is a very solid pass rusher. And his brother was someone that I wanted a long time ago. Not Justin. Jordan Elliott put me on to Aziz Ojulari, BJ's brother. And you give me that bloodline, I'll take it. Uh, Will Levis. Look at how far Will Levis is. See, they knew. But damn, look at how far these guys are, too. There's Dawan Jones, Avila, Jair Brown. Okay, they got some respect on Jair Brown's name. Brown is rated low in a lot of rankings. Tank Dell, dog. 49ers have looked into Dell. There's a lot of cornerbacks available, man. Tucker Craft. Dude, someone good's going to fall to us. Damn, they had Anton rated low. Mingo, Cam Smith, A.T. Perry, Phillips, Byron's down here. There's the Anaconda. They got Joey Fisher rated high. They got him rated really high. I think the 49ers have shown, I'm pretty sure they've shown interest in him. I'm pretty sure they have. Zach Pickens. So I mean, there's a lot of names, man. There's Quan. Isaiah's there. Stromberg is accurately rated on this one. 49ers got options, man. They got options. Someone good can fall to them. They've shown interest in Ward. They showed interest in Robinson. I think these are much accurate rankings than other websites would have. So I mean, this is probably around the range of, the third round. These are guys based on the NFL's grades of where these guys would be. Yep, look at all these guys. Look at all of them. They got the legend. They got the legend. Round 4. He's a round 3. Come on now. Round 3. That's my guy. So there's lots of options. Lots and lots of options here. So that's what I'm excited for. What's wrong with Will Levis? He eats bananas without peeling them, and he also puts mayonnaise in his coffee. I believe that's severely tanked his draft stock. No, I'll be honest. On the whole Will Levis thing, I am not surprised. Again, I understand evaluating guys on air has its own context. It's not playing whatever. I haven't studied Will a whole lot, but I could see Will Levis against air at the NFL Combine was just an inconsistent thrower. Like if he's inconsistent there at the NFL Combine, and I'm walking away from the NFL Combine like, yeah, dude, a D2 quarterback had a way better day than you throwing the football. And again, that's not the only thing that defines a quarterback. It's one thing that defines a quarterback, but with Will Levis, his best trait is supposedly throwing the football, having this cannon. But when I'm watching Will Levis throw, I'm watching a guy who doesn't have full control over his arm. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like, if Will Levis isn't like, we're talking about accuracy, we're talking about velocity, we're talking about range, like, he was just off. And you have a D2 kid at the NFL combine just throwing darts. I get it, it's against air, but I'm supposed to be what everyone's told me about Will Levis is his arm talent. I did not come away impressed with Will Levis's arm talent. Not at all. It was CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. They were in their own tier. That's the reason why they went 2-4. They were in their own tier at the combine. Bryce didn't throw. But then outside of that, Will was leaps and bounds below those two. Like, again, the combine is cool because you get to put them next to each other and you get to watch them rep after rep just go after each other, and you can start to see them in the same environment and see how they respond in the same exact environment. And when you're putting Will Levis in an environment with the D2 kid, and the D2 kid looks exponentially better than Will Levis, I'm like, I'm not in on Will Levis. I already had Paxton Lynch vibes from Will Levis. And those Paxton Lynch vibes are, you know, more profound. Now, I didn't study Will Levis, so I'm not going to definitively say he's Paxton Lynch, because for me, Paxton Lynch was insta bust. I said Paxton Lynch is, you know, I don't. It's not something that I go about trying to do. It's just if I come across a prospect that I don't think is like an NFL caliber prospect, like Paxton Lynch is a perfect example. I thought Paxton Lynch was not good. Thought he was not going to succeed in the NFL. Um, and I was very adamant about that. Now, again, I haven't studied Will Levis, but I get the same vibes. And I trust my vibes with scouting. I'm big on vibes with scouting. Scouting and vibes, huge. I liked Abe Lucas because of vibes. Before he even did anything on the field, it was a vibe. I caught a vibe off Abe Lucas. I'm like, who is this guy? Dude's walking around in during warm-ups at the combine. I'm like, who's that? All these offensive linemen, there's like 50 of them. Abe Lucas is the one who jumps out to me. I'm like, who is this guy? Why am I getting drawn to Abe Lucas before he's done a thing? He's walking around. And that's it. You catch a vibe. You can catch vibes. I trust my vibes with players. Sometimes you get good vibes, sometimes you get bad vibes. And I trust my vibes when it comes to scouting. I think it's been something that's very crucial for me in finding success in identifying players. Like, I can catch a vibe off a player and I'm like, okay. Obviously, you continue to do your homework and you study more and you pull more information, and that helps build the entire case. But if you have a scouting like intangible, trust it. Now, I didn't do the homework on Will. I didn't go deep in, but the vibe's there. The I don't and people like talk about Anthony Richardson as a bust. I don't get that vibe at all. I get the opposite. Like, I get the opposite of Anthony. Anthony Richardson is going to most likely be a star. There's a huge chance that Anthony Richardson is the best quarterback in this class. Huge chance. Now, it's going to take him some time to develop into that, but he very well could be leaps and bounds the best quarterback out of this draft class. And I believe that. That's what my vibe's telling me. Um, so it's going to be interesting. It really is. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But at the end of the day, I'm really excited about this particular draft, excited about what is going to happen. We're about 2 hours away from the start of the second round. Obviously, we're going to be on alert if anything happens, any trades or what have you. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what ultimately goes down. So I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you got post notifications on because I will be going live and I'll just be straight up hopping on. So make sure you don't miss a live because we go on live, baby, when something's popping off. So I'm looking forward to. We're gonna have live reactions. We're gonna be posting analysis. We're gonna be posting all kinds of stuff. So really, really looking forward to it. Grab your draft cookies if you stayed for the entire show. Shout out to all you guys. Appreciate you tapping in. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you hit that sub button. Drop the post noties on because we're cooking today. We're going to have some picks. We're going to have content. Oh boy, it's going to be a blast. Looking forward to it. Shout out to you guys. I'll see you in a little bit. Draft's going to start cooking. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.